Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the veteran and first responder community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that help us live our best life. So, tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Listeners, with us today, we have the amazing Scott. He is going to introduce himself, but I would just like to say, another gem has dropped into my world, and our first conversation on the phone the other day went for ages, and I think we could have talked all day long. So, another treat for you listeners. Welcome, Scott. Please introduce yourself and what it is that you are doing in the world right now.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, yeah, the phone call was phenomenal. Definitely could have been hours long, so we'll try and keep this podcast not 2 hours. Um, yeah, my name's Scott. I've been in emergency services for 19 years. I was a volunteer firefighter for about five, and then transitioned into a career elsewhere in emergency services. Um, I have started up my own breathwork business just through the experience that I've had through emergency services and impact of trauma and dealing with other people's trauma throughout my career really sort of started to take a bit of a toll. And then I had a good friend of mine one day said, why don't you try this 9D breath work? So I'd done previous breath work modalities before and thought, oh yeah, look, I'm at a point, I'll give anything a shot. And I did my first 9D breathwork session and was just blown away. And I had one session I was in, and I just mid-session, I just sort of went, I need to get this out to all the first responders and all the vets out there and anybody who's going to listen to me talk. And it was just a huge moment from there on. So
Mm.
I've got my own business now, Oxygen Evolution, and I run alongside my full-time employment, so it does get difficult. But yeah, running the breathwork sessions, it's really sort of giving me my opportunity to give back and really sort of look after my colleagues and friends and family um, on something that has been around for generations, but just it is really sort of, I suppose, misunderstood. So I'm trying to say, hey, look, um, I like to try and see myself as a big tough guy, but when I'm in a breathwork session, it's my own little world, and it's my best form of mental health release and grounding, and just yeah, it's powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much said there that you've just shared that I want to unpack. But what
Yeah.
I will start with is 9D breathwork. I had never actually heard of it until probably a few months ago when a friend mentioned it to me, and then you dropped into my world and you
Yes.
explained it to me really, really well. So, for our listeners, I've been doing it each morning. Thank you. You've shared some amazing
Yes.
resources with me that I've actually needed right now a lot, and it's helping. So, can you explain to the listeners what this 9D breathwork actually is?
So 9D breath work it's called nine dimensional. So it impacts different sorts of sounds, frequencies, uh, neuro-linguistic programming, all sorts of different types of, I suppose I'm not the smartest book smart person, but it sort of works with, it sort of touches a little bit on your woo-woo stuff, but it's really quite scientific and really quite, there's a lot of evidence base to support it. So what they do is we chuck you on a mat, chuck you some headphones and an eye mask, and immerse you in your own little world. Now, in the process, it's fully guided, so we teach you the different types of breath techniques. There's a few depending on the different types of session, but we actually use sound and frequency, subliminal messaging, hypnotherapy, the NLP that I mentioned. And one thing that blew me away with 9D, and like I said, I'm not a book smart person at all, but the brain will respond differently to different emotions at different frequencies. So if we're targeting a certain emotion or feeling, the sound and noises and soundscape will sort of be structured around that. And that kind of blew my mind going, what do you mean? You're just sort of pumping noise and talking, but it's really scientifically sort of structured.
Mm,
So
mm,
we do a nice intro into the session. We get you nice and relaxed. We go through the breathing session depending on what it is, whether it's a nice activation, so heavy, big breathing, or whether it's a down regulation, relaxed. Help you to regulate your emotions, rewire the brain, and say, look, this old way that you've been dealing with things that's not working, well, let's go down this path and try this.
Mm.
And then after this, the journey sort of finishes, we do like a post-session integration to sort of really sort of wire it in and get yourself back grounded and not leave you in that heightened state. Um, and we come out and into a beautiful state of, sometimes depending on the session, you can have quite an emotional experience and you can feel a bit lethargic and tired and what we call the breathwork hangover. Um, but the most common thing is because I like to contact people and see how they do follow up in the sessions and make sure if anything's come up. Usually the next day I just get this, oh my God, my brain is just quiet. Like
Mm.
how's it doing this? So yeah, that's what I love
That is
about the
the best
19.
feedback for us as practitioners. Like when you get that, you're like, my job is done.
Yes, exactly right. And especially the ones that are a bit hesitant to it and they're like, what do you mean breathe? It's not going to fix me. And then
Mm.
afterwards they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Where's this been all my life? And you're like,
Mm.
well, breathwork's been around a long time. It's just now we're finding different ways to evolve and grow and build
Mm.
it into what we have today.
So
And yeah,
I'd love to ask you though, with the breath work, for those, I understand everything you're saying because I've experienced it personally for myself, but I'd love you to go right back to when you first started breath work. Someone suggested it to you and you gave it a go. You perhaps were one of those hesitant people, but you were like, I'll give anything a go right now. You didn't really know words about integration and things like that then. What was your very first experience with the breath work, and why did you feel it really worked for you?
Well, I've found my biggest thing that I have is I really struggle with my words of communication. Unless you talk to me about breath work, then I don't shut up. Um, so I suppose verbalizing my emotions or feelings was difficult. And I would always be like, I'd say, hey, what's wrong? And it'd be like, I don't know, I just feel shit.
Mm,
But you can't really sort of verbalize it or you don't really understand it because in the emergency services world, as you sort of know, being a vet, when you uh, when you respond to a job or when you respond to an incident or when you're for yourself like out in the battlefield, you haven't got that time to sort of just switch off and go, or I suppose you don't really get taught going, you've
mm,
just been to a job where death, violence, aggression, even heartache you don't get taught to, or you don't get time to sort of unload that. You've just got to go. And at the end of the day, that's our job as emergency services. We're there to be the shining light. We're there to be the strong force, and that's perfect and great. But we finish the job, we resolve it, we do what we need to do, and we go, oh, that was a bit shit. Oh well, on to the next job.
mm.
And then you just go after the next, after the next, after the next. And before you know it, you get to the end of the day, get to the end of the week, and you're sitting there going, that was a terrible week. I just had a really tough one but I'm so overloaded with emotions and feelings. And you might be like, in the incident, you might be like, oh, that doesn't bother me. But those little bit sort of bits build up over time. And because you don't find that way to um, get rid of it, it just builds up. And so when you sort of go, I'm trying to communicate about what I'm feeling, but there's so much of it. Oh, well, let's just not worry about it. And the common thing is, for most is, oh, I'm just going to go have a beer, go have a drink. And you sort of start to engage in that unhealthy way of coping or masking what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of found the breath work really powerful. Like I've tried the Wim Hof method and Dr. Espen and Dan Bruley's type breathing, and it's. I thought for me, I enjoyed it. I'm like, oh yeah, really quite cool. But I sort of my main focus around the breath work initially was for a health and performance thing, helped me in the gym and
Mm.
day to day, and I sort of saw the benefits of it. But I was like, oh yeah, it's quite good. So that's why I was sort of open to any sort of breath work. Um, and then when I sort of found that I sort of got to the really bad point in my life with everything's just sort of overflowing. And a friend just said, "Why don't you try 9D?" And I'm like, "Well, I've done breath work before. Let's give it a shot." So I've, yeah, the previous experience helped me to sort of tip it over. But I was like, "Look, I'm in such a bad place at the moment. I don't care. Do whatever."
Mm.
And I suppose the biggest thing for that as well was because in in the sort of field that I'm in, if I went to the doctors and said, "I'm feeling pretty shit right now," they would go, "Oh, you're depressed. Have some medication."
Mm.
And I didn't want that.
No.
I'm very, look, it has its place, has its time,
But
but I
very
think,
few do actually want that. So I think that's
yeah,
why these conversations are so important.
yeah. And I've seen so many um, men and women who are fantastic at their job and have got so much more to give, but they go to the doctors go, "Oh, you're depressed, have some medication," and then before you know it, they're another one of those off on work cover, off on PTSD, and
Can't get themselves out of the hole.
yeah, because we're not actually dealing with what's wrong. Instead, we're continuing to do what we're doing, so masking all our stress,
Mm.
trauma, and anxiety, and then adding your different types of medication that further mask it.
Yeah, numb it down.
Um, and we're trying to go, let's not numb it. Let's go, hey, what's going on? What's going to work for me to get
Let's
me?
explore this.
Yeah, exactly right. And it was just it was the little space that you're in with when you get into that breath work as well. You just and like I said, I found 9D worked best for me out of all the breathwork modalities, because it helps me sort of keep in that space. And you've got your headphones on, your eye mask on, and you're just in this one little bubble. And you could be in a room full of 10, 20 people, but the second that breath starts, you're just like, I don't care about anybody else. I'm here in my own little world, and
Yeah.
it sort of helps with keeping your own little thoughts. Your mind starts to wander, and obviously when you do your breath work, you start to think about, oh, I need to go to the toilet, or oh, I need to, what's for dinner tonight, or this person's annoyed me. But you've got all that sort of in your head going on, and you bring yourself back, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not. My brain's not going to take control. I'm going to take control, um, and really get immersed in this whole space of feeling better. And it was it was I tried to go down the spiritual path, but it really was like this big awakening for me. It was like it was almost like a light switch flicked and went, Jesus, I wish I knew this years ago.
Yeah.
And it's honestly helped me I always go think about it and take a deep dive into it. And I always know that if it wasn't for this breathwork stuff, I would have been on that work cover list. I would have been on that PTSD list, um, and down that deep path that we see many members go on. Um, and I just don't want to be that person. I don't want to go down that path because I know I've got a lot more to give.
Yeah, exactly. And when we spoke the other day, we shared this common view of like your breath is free. It's with you 24/7,
Yep.
and it's your most powerful medicine. And just to learn different ways, whatever resonates for you, to drop that in and learn about it is good. With yeah, and an app that you shared with me and the stuff that I've been exploring through the breath works that you do. I love it, kind of taps into all sensory input for me. So what I've experienced trying it just this week was, the sound kind of moves from one ear to the other, and
Yeah.
then there's a voice, and then there's like other noises, and it's like I'm in this full, deep, experiential type space where,
Yep.
yeah, the outside world doesn't matter, and I love the variety too. Like I teach one type of breath work, which is deep, conscious, connected, shamanic breath work, which is like one-on-one trauma release. But what I love about what you've showed me, and you can talk into it from what I
Yeah.
share, is there's so many different ways that I can utilize my breath. I've already learned this week, like a fast breath or
Yeah.
a mouth and a nose and all these different combinations. And I'm like, wow, I can tailor this to how I'm feeling or what I'm wanting to release or work on. So yeah, I'd love for you to
Absolutely.
share.
Yeah, it's not just sort of sitting there and going and breathing. Like, yeah, we do that every day, but there's ways we can, what we call like, having intentional breath.
Yeah.
And what I love about the different techniques with the breath work is obviously most people, or if you've been into certain areas, they'll teach you the box breathing. So the four in, hold for four, four out, hold for four. And there's many times where I've been at jobs now where I've really been switched on with identifying when I can feel emotions coming on. So, that the fight or flight comes in, and I've gone, well. I'm here for a job. I can't fly. Like I can't get out of here.
Mm,
I've got to deal with it. But I want to deal with it with a level head. So I could either sit there and go, if I've got the time or space or whatever to go on to sort of like take a moment, take a breath and go and breathe and feel, or I could just sort of sit there like if you were talking for a minute or you were just sort of sitting there, I could start doing my breath technique
mm.
and no one would know.
Yeah.
You can
What a
just do
powerful tool.
it is, and it's like yeah, if you've got the time and place to do a really big one, but if you're in emergency services, you've got minutes, and
Mm,
that's realistically that's all you need.
mm,
Um, yeah, your offsider or your partner or your colleagues that you're working with at the time, they could be taking the lead and doing the bulk of the role, and you could just be there on the side helping, but still going through that one, two, three, four breath,
mm, mm,
and still doing your job, and you able to respond and react and do your job much more efficiently and much more professionally, and at the same time, you're dumping off that trauma and you're not taking it on. You're going, I'm here to do a job. This is a terrible situation, but let's just push it aside.
mm.
And you sort of come out of it going, hey, that was a great job. We did well.
Yeah, and I love as well. I'm going to use a word I very rarely use in case, I think it's overused, but it it makes you feel empowered because you are not seeking externally for the answers. You're actually using something that's already within yourself. One that I've been doing recently, when my kids are activating me and I want to respond
Yes.
rather than react, is I grab my thumb and I try to feel for my pulse in my thumb, which is near on impossible. So it's good to try. And then I just say in my mind, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. I am breathing in, I am
Yeah.
breathing out, which is usually four in, four out. And it
Mm.
actually stops me in my tracks, brings me back to my body, back to my center. And even through this app that you shared with me, I've been learning. I did a 6 minute one this morning. So just,
Yep.
hid myself in another room away from the children, did this little 6 minute calming,
Mm.
grounding breath work. And I'm like, hey, I'm good to go. So, yeah, empowered to use your breath for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a basic tool, and when we work out how to use it, it's the first thing we do when we're born, and it's the last thing we do when we die. So
Mm,
it's
mm.
a powerful thing.
And I love that you're out there preaching your breathwork to others. I do think we need to be passionate and share what we love. I also do the same. And, if you hear either of us out there in the world preaching about our breathwork, maybe just give it a go.
Absolutely. And the biggest sort of thing that I really sort of want to stress to people, the organizations that we work for aren't always going to do this right, whether they want to admit it or not. I mean, I was um, in part of my career, I was actually treated quite poorly by management. And I could have sat there and gone, oh, it's their fault. They need to do this. They need to help me. They need to build this. At the end of the day, it's your own responsibility to look after your own mental health. If whatever is being offered is not right for you or is not working for you, go and find something. Obviously, we're very biased towards breath work because we know the power and we know it works and we love it. But find something that's going to work for you. You
Mm,
may not find someone who's been exactly in your situation because at the end of the day, this is your world. No one's been in your situation but you. But there will be, I can guarantee you, there's going to be someone out there who's been in a similar situation that can help you get through it.
mm,
Whether it's a friend, a professional, whether you need to go out there and do some research, go and do it because yeah, the biggest thing I can sort of stress is don't give up. If it's not for you, go find something that is for you because you'll find it. It's one of the biggest things that saved my career, saved my family's life. I was so immersed in my work world that I nearly lost my relationship of 10 years because my mental health was that bad and I was putting so much focus onto work and then work's treating me like shit and I'm sitting there going, I've nearly lost my relationship. I've nearly lost my employment.
mm,
Like there will be a path out. There will be a way forward. You've just got to sometimes maybe dig a little deeper, do a little bit more research. I
mm,
mean, jump on Google and start from there.
mm.
Um, but there will be someone out there who can help you.
Such beautiful advice. And I mean, there's always people like yourself and I, and there's many more of us that are teaching from their own lived experience within the emergency services and veteran community. I know a handful of them that have been guests on this podcast. So please reach out to someone, ask the questions. If people are doing the work like Scott and myself are each and every
Yep.
day, showing up, integrating what we learn through our breath work into our daily life, I am more than happy to answer questions for people and do things like maybe we could even, I'll just throw this out there. We haven't even spoken about this, but in a couple of months, jump on a Zoom together, invite people in, and you can ask us all your questions. And make a theme around it that we can talk into the breath, or maybe you can even run us an online little breath check-in. That could be really fun too. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, fun. If there are people out there, Scott, that are like peeping in and getting curious about breath, what is the main piece of advice that you give them in regards to breath work, if they're just brand new to it?
If you're brand new to breath work, it's one of those things. Just give it a go. Obviously, be mindful of the type of breath work you're doing and the different types of breath work that are out there. Obviously, with anything in this world, you're going to have inexperienced people who do this breath work or people who don't really understand. But if you can find someone who either can give you a referral or relate to your sort of situation, just give it a go. Just try it
Mm,
out. If you find you have a breathwork session as well and it might not be what you thought, or you might have something lingering, go back to your facilitator, go back to whoever running the session, go, hey, I've done this breath work. This is how I'm feeling. Can you help me?
mm,
And 99% of the time, they'll go, absolutely, we can.
mm,
Because
mm,
it's not a one breath fix. You're not going to feel on top of the world straight away for the rest of your life after one session. It does take a bit of work, depending on your levels of trauma or
mm,
stress or what's going on. But as soon as you start that journey, you realize how beautiful it is on the other side.
I
Just,
love that.
yeah, start that journey. Don't let yourself be another statistic, or don't let your sadness or your pain sort of get away from you. And there's this beautiful quote that I love from Michael A. Singer, the book Untethered Soul. I don't know if you've read it.
I
He
haven't.
goes, the only guarantee in life is death, so why not be happy?
Mm. Oh, mic drop.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a onion, right? There's layers. I've worked with some clients for months and they'll come back to a new pattern that they're releasing through their breath, but it's not the same one that they released the first time. It's that deeper layer of that pattern, whether it
yeah,
be, grief or anger and every emotion that's present in the human body, I personally feel is a beautiful thing because each
yeah.
one is a messenger for us and we don't have to attach story to it when we do breath work. We just need to feel it to heal it. So, that just involves breathing it through. So I love everything that you have shared with us today, Scott. And I think we could have like a full day long episode. But is there
Absolutely.
anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we just end for today?
Yeah, I think you're never going to stop feeling emotions. And we do have this a really good saying in the journeys that the emotions are going to come knocking at the door. We can decide whether we let it in, whether we let it stay, or we say, not today, thank you, go away.
Mm,
But like you mentioned, every emotion is a learning, is an experience, is part of who you are as a human being. When you get into your breath, when you learn how to regulate your emotions, it's really shows you that, hey, I'm not feeling great. Let's work through it. And it really helps you identify. You're not going to stop feeling those emotions, but you can tell your body how you want to feel.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and yeah, I couldn't sing highly enough. So I'm trying to, so we're not going too long. But
mm,
yeah, get involved in the breath and really experience it. It's like there's nothing more powerful than the end of a breath session where I can sort of look someone in the eye and they're just like, this was meant to be. Like, this is amazing.
mm.
So give it a try. Speak around, ask people, talk to people. Um, I'm sure someone in your circle or has done breath work and they'll tell you the same story.
Absolutely. So if anyone has any breathwork questions, you've got Scott to talk to, you've got me to talk to down in the text of wherever this is that you're listening to this, whatever platform, you'll have the contact details to reach out to both of us, or you can even ask questions in the comments. So once again, a massive thank you to Scott. I'm sure we'll have him on again in the future or even in on my pages, just doing a little bit of breath play.
Love
And
to.
yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Right, Katie out.